We told you last week that South Park Into the Panderverse had its sights set on Disney. At the time, many people thought that there would be more of Hollywood involved, but nay, that was not to be. Instead, it's all about KK, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, and, Disney at large taking it on the chin. The chinny chin, but here's the deal for all of you out there. Now Disney must respond. They might not respond in the way you expect, though, and we're going to discuss how this actually has real ramifications for the House of Mouse. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the WDW Pro channel. It surely is a great pleasure to get to talk to you once again today, and we also have the pleasure of having Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for That Park Place, joining us again. Jonas, welcome back.
Good to be here. It's funny to me that I am your go-to guy to talk about South Park when I haven't watched much South Park since I was in high school.
Jonas, this is not your typical video. We're not going to be reviewing South Park. That review will come out tomorrow morning. That said, we're going to be talking about the way Disney is going to respond, and that gets us into corporate strategy, which means you are the perfect person to bring in to talk to us about how they might handle it. So let's just set the table for a moment, folks. South Park Into the Panderverse has come out, and it has tackled Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger. I know there are some out there who are a bit critical, saying, well, they let her off the hook at the end, or they were not as tough as they should have been on Marvel, etc. I'm here to tell you, I think that Trey Parker and Matt Stone decided that they would, after 40 minutes of utterly destroying this woman in this company, let them off the mat for a moment so that they could have a breather and have some respectability. Now, that said, Disney is in a very peculiar situation. And Jonas, here's exactly what I'm talking about. We have heard in the past, although we have not been reporting on it lately because people are just sick about hearing, the possibility of Kathleen Kennedy leaving. But we've heard that there is a timeline here, and we're paying very close attention to that. In fact, even today may have some stuff involved in it, which is even more interesting. And we can't discuss that at all. We're not saying Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired today, folks. We're talking about behind-the-scenes stuff that Jonas and I are aware of. But anyway, Disney's in a predicament because if Kathleen Kennedy leaves in the next year, it's going to look like South Park was the reason, even if that's not the case. Jonas, what do you think Disney is going to do now that they have been utterly humiliated with South Park, even going so far as to have Eric Cartman falling through an endless tunnel with the Disney stock price arrow?
Okay, so I'm just my base take based on, there's a lot of people posting about this on the internet, so I think I've got a basic idea of what has gone on in this episode. And
you've seen a number of clips, and I've seen the entire thing. So let's hear your take, Jonas.
Yeah, I was shocked. First of all, them putting just Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy. Do they skewer any other companies in this?
Not really. No, this is just Disney, and well, I suppose they skewer anybody who's using a multiverse, and that brings Marvel into it. Although Marvel's part of the Disney umbrella, but really and truly, this is just an absolute haranguing of the Disney company.
And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stock?
Okay, so, I mean, if they focus on one singular person in this entire thing and they don't put the blame anywhere else, I don't see how they can avoid responding. Actually taking one of the most on paper, one of the most successful executives in the history of Hollywood, and putting all of the current state of movie making on her, I don't see how they can do anything but respond to it.
Well, I would say too, Jonas, at the end, we'll this is a minor spoiler, folks, very minor. And I'm cognizant, that there are these reviews coming out and there are discussions about this. Most people have not seen this yet. Very few people stayed up to watch this midnight on the East Coast. Most people have kids and jobs and all of that, and so they'll watch it over the weekend. So we don't want to spoil anything. So this is very minor. At the end of the this special event, South Park, Jonas, which is about the length of maybe 2 combined episodes, I think they do take a very strong shot at Bob Iger. It's subtle, but it's a big time shot at Bob Iger, I think, and maybe even says that he's the culprit beyond Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, I think obviously the outside view on this is that a lot of this is Bob Iger's fault. The buck stops with the CEO, and if the CEO is taking on someone and that person keeps underperforming, and we've seen the numbers since then. We know their public spin that the Star Wars movies have all been successful. Even Force Awakens, knowing how much that movie cost to make, I'm not quite so sure that they actually made money on a movie with almost $2 billion in gross.
Well, I think it's fair to say that you and Valiant Renegade actually broke that down using tax documents from the UK, and we're pretty darn confident that Lucasfilm has lost money since Disney acquired it.
Right, and this ongoing philosophy that the only way to make money in movies now is to make these humongous, unprofitable movies in order to sell toys. And also that the toys have not sold either. I haven't seen them talking about the toys anyways. All of the clips that I'm seeing are talking about Kathleen Kennedy like she's some kind of monster, like literally under the bed or something, that she's going to jump out and scare people. So I take it from that they might actually be skewering a little bit of maybe our compatriots or maybe even us ourselves.
Well, they try at the end to give a little bit of leeway to Kathleen Kennedy, because she's receiving such vast, dislike and contempt. But it's all from Eric Cartman, and the amount that she's receiving from Eric Cartman is sort of laughable and parody in itself. So I think what they're doing there is they're setting up this thing at the end of the show where we all know Kathleen Kennedy really did these things that they're talking about. Now, there's no panderstone in reality, of course, but she really did kill Star Wars, and she really did introduce this pandering system that South Park calls the Panderverse to Marvel as well. And so she really did these things. There is no cartoon little boy sending 12,000 pieces of judgmental mail to her. So it's an apple and orange there, and I think it's purposeful. But I think that, well, number one, I don't think that the access and mainstream media are going to care. I think they will despise this. I think they will come out angrily about this. But at the same time, they gave them just enough that Trey Parker and Matt Stone can say, well, we're really, trying to play it even. We're trying to stay in the middle. When in reality, this was 40 minutes of just devastating content for Disney. Here's my question, Jonas. Does Disney respond in any official way? Do we get a statement that Disney stands behind Kathleen Kennedy, or that they're proud of Kathleen Kennedy? Do we get a response out of Lucasfilm? Do we get a leak out of something? I mean, how does a company handle this when they have been skewered so badly? We've seen in the past, remember, we've seen Tom Cruise respond to South Park. We've seen some others respond when they've been hit this way. But this is more than anything I have ever seen in terms of just taking apart a corporation.
So we'll view it at their possible scenarios. We'll do game theory here, and we'll talk about the most likely scenario.
Please.
First of all, with Tom Cruise, they kind of went after his religion. So, say what you will about Scientology. Them going after Tom Cruise, he had the excuse of saying, well, you're going after my religion. And
Jonas, at the risk, and I know I'm speaking too much, and I want to hear your thought on it, but I have to insert this right now. They're taking on the quote-unquote religion of a lot of people who are very in favor of what Disney has been doing from an ideological standpoint. Just saying.
Right. And we've talked about on the Pro Show, there's a clip, the Pro Show yesterday, we talked about the fact that maybe the fact that South Park is doing this has shown that the entire popular culture has turned, and they're making it okay to make fun of this. Now, of course, there's all this backlash. If you look in the trades, that they're not really crazy about the Panderverse aspect here. So let's start with, if they respond and they show support for Kathleen Kennedy, I don't think that that's a smart thing to do, because if they talk about her recent successes and they try to keep that same light on those recent successes, and I say recent, we're going back to what? The Force Awakens. Then it clouds the even more recent statements from Bob Iger, where he says that we need to spend less money and make better content. That is a statement that is going after Marvel and Star Wars and potentially the live action remakes that they still haven't admitted are not successful for them either. If they support her in that and then fire her, that's dissonance that makes them look like liars.
even if they just part ways in an amicable way publicly.
Right. So I think the more likely scenario is that they are completely silent and do no response.
Okay. Then let's tease that out for a moment. If that is their response, does that then give the message, and does it make Kathleen Kennedy unhappy? Does it give the message that Disney is not confident, that they do not have the fortitude and the stability under them to come out and make a statement in support of Kathleen Kennedy? Does that put her and Lucasfilm in an awkward situation when there are Jiminy Crickets playing in the background because nobody wants to come out and protect her from Disney?
Well, the other option would be that they could issue some kind of sly response, which I don't think that the current Disney company is capable of doing anything remotely sassy, remotely clever to respond to Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They will never beat Trey Parker and Matt Stone in a battle of wits. If they were to directly engage with them, Parker and Stone have the upper hand because they have no holds.
Right.
They'll
unleash.
Right.
Although, my gosh, they've unleashed already.
Yeah, and it's funny to me you say this because a lot of the clips that I'm seeing of Kathleen Kennedy are actually Eric Cartman as Kathleen Kennedy demanding one thing to happen and then to modify that one thing, even when he orders food, to say, order a chicken and make it a female. And
yep.
Yeah.
Jonas,
so
many of our viewers out there may think that they let Kathleen Kennedy off the hook at the end. I'm here to tell you that is not at all what happened. They literally had Kathleen Kennedy and Eric Cartman. Eric Cartman is the worst of the worst of the worst in the show. They know he's the worst. They know he is vile. That is the entire idea. He is an 8-year-old Archie Bunker. Now, they have Eric Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy, spoiler here, folks, shaking hands at the end. Voice of reason in the show, Stan and Kyle, they never are on board with Kathleen Kennedy. They're also never on board with Cartman. And so I feel like we and our viewers are very much sort of like the Stans and the Kyles. We don't hate Kathleen Kennedy. We don't loathe her. We don't like her work product results. We think that she has been entirely unsuccessful and that we want someone successful to take her place. But as a person, we wish her success as best as she can find it. Jonas, tell me this, though. This is what I don't see a reason for them to stop.
For Trey Parker and Matt Stone to stop, or for Disney to stop? Because Disney needs to stop.
Plenty reason for Disney to stop. But think about this, Jonas. Paramount Plus is about to make so much money off of Disney Star Wars, off of the failure of Disney Star Wars. I can't even imagine how many new subscribers they're going to get off of this South Park into the Panderverse. So, Jonas, if you're Paramount and if you're South Park, wouldn't you keep doing this? Wouldn't you keep just slamming Disney, considering how popular it seems to be? Remember, folks, on Google Trends, we pulled this out last week and it still holds steady. This has picked up 8 times the internet interest compared to the Marvels. So why would they stop, Jonas?
And minimal production cost in making it as well. Ooh. And there's no reason for them to stop. If it's successful, Trey Parker and Matt Stone have obviously gotten this $800 million loan in order to do something that we're assuming is Casa Bonita. Again, check the Pro Channel for that. Mm-hmm. So they need to make money. They're in the game to make money. So if this thing makes them money, yes, I see no reason to stay away from doing a part 2 through 12 to make it their epic saga of the.
You could bring the Marvels. I mean, the Marvels is about to come out and just face plant into the cement. Why would they not be like, you know what? Let's do it again with the Marvels. Because I suppose this is going to make so much money.
I suppose it's too much to ask if they could just do a clean version so that we could all enjoy it.
Okay, Jonas, actually, that's a good point.
I'm joking a little bit there. I know South Park isn't really my bag, but
here's the thing,
at
Jonas,
the same time,
but
I acknowledge
this.
The amazing cleverness of these guys and the skill of Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
I'm actually on board with you on this, Jonas, because I was watching it today. Of course, I have watched, almost every episode of South Park there is. 90% of them I find to be very funny. There have been a few that I found offensive, but I recognize that that's the point, is that they offend basically everyone. In fact, I'd be shocked if the 2 gentlemen who make the show haven't been offended by it at some point. But I'll say this. There are drinks which are for adults. There are also drinks which are for adults, which have the adult contents removed from it so that you can drink it and be safe you have issues with that. If you get my drift, folks, we don't want to say certain words lest we cost ourselves the advertising. However, all of that said, I really think that South Park and Paramount should consider offering the episodes bleeped like they would be on Comedy Central. And I say that because I'll give you an example. My father sends me a message today with a tweet that features Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy. He's loving it, right? It's hilarious. But I know that my father probably will not watch the entire episode without being a little bit squeamish about the language. And I know that there are many other people who feel that same way. And so I would say, to reach the broadest audience possible, I'm not saying to censor the episode. I'm saying to give the option where they're bleeped so that, because my gosh, the number of people out there who would enjoy this and agree with this, and it's not just Disney. We're talking about, there's an entire B plot about how nobody knows how to do anything anymore because they've all went to college and it's a waste of time now, and everybody's just using their phones. And so handymen are becoming the most lucrative jobs on the planet. It's hilarious, right? So many of us can identify with these things. I do think they need to have a version out there where you can select and go, okay, bleep it for me, and then show it to your grandparents and let them enjoy. I think I think it's a financially good idea, Jonas.
Yeah, I suppose that is the middle ground there. Of course, all the bleeping that generally raises the eyebrows, anyways.
Now, it does indeed.
The question, of course, becomes when they talk about the Cartman sending 10,000 letters or something like that. The question is, are we that little boy sending 10,000 letters to Kathleen Kennedy?
Well, so there is a spectrum out there, okay, and so we need to rightly identify that and say that they're definitely, if we were to look out across the landscape of people who love Star Wars or any other franchise, you're going to find some people who have an unhealthy dislike for what's happened, and they might manifest that in unhealthy ways. So I think the differentiating boundary there is, and we've tried to maintain this on the channel all the time, if you wish for personal harm or anything like that for anybody who's working on these projects, that's wrong. If you want people who are unsuccessful to be replaced with successful people managing your favorite properties, I see no harm in that at all.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the boundary. I think that surely there are some people out there who have an inappropriate dislike, and we always have to be safe to say, here's the line, don't cross that line. And I think that's in everything. You might even think about in sports. There are those who go to sporting events and they cheer and they cheer and they cheer, or they boo and they boo and they boo. When it turns to something beyond that, right, that's when that has exceeded the appropriate bounds from which enjoying being a fan should take place. So I think it's a legitimate thing to watch out for.
Yep. Agreed. We all need to have self-reflection, and if wishing someone harm is what you project as your image of bringing you peace, that's a dangerous path to go down.
But that's Eric Cartman, and Eric Cartman shakes hands with Kathleen Kennedy at the end. It's symbolically important for those of you out there who may not be very familiar with South Park. You need to understand what they're doing there. They're having the most loathsome character coming to agreement with what they perceive, I suppose, to be Disney's most loathsome character, although I think they may have Bob Iger. There's some things I missed from it, that I wish they had done, but we'll have that in the review that'll come out tomorrow morning. I'm very excited to do that. Jonas, I want to wind up with this question for you. As we go into this, this may be more popular than the Marvels. It may be more popular than just about any entertainment for the next month or 2 months. I think this is going to have resounding success. Do you think that this changes now the way that access media, mainstream media, and others on the fence might approach criticisms of Kathleen Kennedy and the Walt Disney Company?
I don't know. It seems to be pretty negative to her since around the Cannes Film Festival this year. They're either going to react by doubling down that she needs to go, or react in defense because they don't like Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
I'm very interested to see how the access and mainstream media cover this. They're just now, I think, starting to absorb it and figure out what the narrative should be. They often parrot the same narrative, not not something we do here. We try to have our own original thoughts and share them. And then we test them out by bouncing off of each other and then reading the comments as well. But there are many out there who are going to try to figure out what to say about this. I have a feeling that the knee-jerk reaction out of the mainstream and access media is going to be to react very poorly to it, to lambast and lash out. So we'll see how that goes. Jonas, one place that I know that we'll see more coverage of this down the road is That Park Place, the YouTube channel that you have helped take flight. You are the anchor over there, the chief editor over on the YouTube channel. And
yes, sir.
What do you guys got coming up?
Well, we've got a live stream going. It's I wouldn't, a lot of people are doing Halloween specials in the evening, and we decided we're going to break with the trend, and we're going to do ours in the morning at 10 a.m. on 1031. We're having an hour and a half live stream with me, Vash Sky. I hear Mexican Iron Man might even be there, and also Culture Casino. So come by and we'll break down all the news from entertainment, streaming, video games, and of course, theme parks.
I have a feeling you'll be talking about the reaction across the web at some point. Not sure what you guys have on the docket for that one, but I'm sure the reaction is going to be worth covering for this South Park thing. And Jonas, my assumption is then that your special live stream with That Park Place on Halloween Day will send people over to Culture's show after that, and then his will take them into Midnight's Edge. So it sounds to me like it's going to be a really, really fun day for folks who are out there working and can listen in or driving or what have you. They can listen to all those shows and get their favorite commentators discussing all of this stuff. Fair to say, Jonas?
Fair to say.
All right, folks. Well, it is fair, I suppose, for us to ask now, if you enjoyed this conversation, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you do stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Also, we covet your comments. Drop one down below. We want to know what's on your mind. Tell us if we got this right, we got it wrong, and give us your predictions for what will happen with the mainstream and access media, how they will handle this, as well as what you think Disney will do. We'd love to know. Don't forget that the South Park Into the Panderverse review releases here on this channel. It will come out Saturday a.m. at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you've not yet seen the Halloween show that we did, the Spooktacular Pro Show Live, it came out Thursday, 5 p.m. Just like every pro show, we leave those up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they get taken down and put into the members' archives so members can enjoy them. Make sure you check it through one of those means. All right, folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
I'm the ghost of Star Wars.
You know what would be a real treat this Halloween? Checking out WDW Pro. He's got all the sweet news on his Thursday live show at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Not to mention, his daily videos are a real treat.
Guys, I'm the ghost of Star Wars. Get it?
You know, we should go and make sure we're subscribed.
Guys, I'm the ghost of Star Wars.
And while we're at it, we'll ring that bell to make sure we're notified.
Great, let's go. Because, we actually care about that. Let's go.
Fact. Star Wars is not dead. It's haunting the staffs of Disney Plus.